Hey guys, this is Allie with Allie Answers. I hope you're having a great day. I'm a geriatric care manager and I share my tips and tricks and expertise right here on my channel for free. Welcome. I'm a dementia specialist, and something that I don't think that most people realize is that if your loved one is starting to have some forgetfulness, maybe they are forgetting conversations that you had, or they just can't quite keep up with a conversation if it's complicated, then what you need to understand is that it isn't just about memory loss. Our brain is our central computer. It's how we process everything. It's how we think about everything. It's how all of our systems work. And when you notice certain symptoms, that means that there's other stuff going on in the brain. So these things are all connected. The way that the brain perceives depth perception, for example, can change. And that's why one of the first symptoms of dementia is actually falls. So when your loved one has some forgetfulness, or they've got some other symptoms that seem to be going along with dementia, even if you do not have a diagnosis, it helps if you understand that there is probably some damage in that mainframe computer. And the reason you need to understand that is because it will help you get along better with your loved one. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you start talking to grandma about the fact that it is really not safe for her to be in her home alone anymore. You want to bring someone in to care for her, or you want her to go look at an assisted living with you. If your grandmother has some memory loss, then you can be sure that processing that information is going to be difficult for her. That's right. So behind the scenes, when we are having a conversation, you and I are processing things at a faster rate and a faster speed and doing it better than someone who has brain damage. So maybe you're like, whoa, grandma's just forgetful. She doesn't have brain damage. But a lot of times when we see forgetfulness, which is just one of the symptoms with dementia, it actually points back to damage in the brain. This mainframe computer that you've got running is going to start dropping the ball sometimes, to mix metaphors a little bit. You may notice, for example, that grandma isn't ready on time anymore when you go to pick her up. And she was always ready before. She was ready early. Maybe her ability to process time when she's looking at the clock and how much time she has left is starting to fail. These changes indicate that there are changes in the brain. So we talked about frequent falls, not being able to handle time or tasks in a reasonable amount of time. Also, things like meal planning and planning for the future might begin to really make our loved ones anxious. Anxiety is really common. Think about it. If you've always been able to process things people said to you, you've always been able to handle things in your own life, it is going to cause a lot of anxiety and fear if you can no longer do those things. That's why when you're trying to have a conversation and you're like, hey, grandma, let me help you in the shower. And she's like, no, I don't need any help. And you know she hasn't showered in a while, and you're thinking this doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense to you because you can process that. She's having trouble processing it. And the reason that I'm breaking this down in such an elementary level is because we can understand these things on a textbook basis for other people. But when it's our loved one, when it's our mother, when it's our dad or our husband or our wife, we have a hard time getting it. We just do. I see families every day have a difficult time understanding that their loved one is never going to agree to certain things, that they're past the point where they can process something and agree. Now, not everyone who has dementia is like that. Obviously, there are lots of different stages and there are different types of dementia. So maybe a person with vascular dementia, for example, their cognition may go up and down a little bit. So there might be days they can process better than others, or parts of the day that they can process better than others. But generally speaking, if you are seeing other signs of dementia, then we need to give space and understanding that this person cannot process things the way that you can. This is especially hard for the most intelligent daughters that I have. The daughters who are lawyers and nurses and who are doctors, they don't get it because they're thinking at such a fast rate. It doesn't even make any sense that mom is doing so at a slower rate. If your dad was always the guy that you went to and could solve every problem, and now he seems befuddled and confused and frustrated even that you're bringing him a problem, that's a sign that you might be dealing with dementia, and therefore the processing speed has slowed down. The best thing that you can do for your loved one is respect that. How? Well, for one thing, first of all, slow down. Do you have to say all the details? I say this often to families. Less information is best, because if they are processing that information, think about it. Is it easier to process a 3-page book that's a children's story with simple lines? Or is it easier to process a 26-chapter novel? Less is best. Break it down to the most simplistic thing that you can. If you have a hard time making things simple, maybe get your sister or brother to do it. Ask ChatGPT, or try to bullet point what you need to talk to them about. Then take off everything but the first 2 points. Simplify, simplify, simplify. You are going to have a better relationship with your loved one, a better day, a better life if you make things more simple. Secondly, please understand that if you were waiting for them to agree with you on a big decision, like not driving anymore, or moving to a community, moving to assisted living, or moving in with you, or allowing someone to come in and help them with a shower, if we are already seeing signs of dementia, it is less likely that you're going to get them on the page with you. The reason that it's important to know that is because if you are having regular conversations and thinking, okay, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to force grandma to have any help in the shower until she agrees. Well, first of all, she's probably going to fall and end up in the hospital. Sorry, but that's the reality, long before she ever has the ability to agree or does agree. Sometimes we have to push the point for safety. Just like our parents did when we were little and they were responsible for us, if you are now responsible for your spouse or your sister or your parent, you are responsible for their safety as well. And it does make it hard. I understand, especially if this person is your dad or your husband and you've always deferred to them and let them make the decisions, and now things have flip-flopped and you need to have more control. You need to make more decisions. I totally get that it's hard. You are going to do much better if you simplify things and if you get them on page with you by explaining the advantages to them. For example, Grandma, what is your biggest fear? You don't want to move out of this house. Okay, then you need to let someone help you get in and out of the shower, because that's where most falls happen. If you fall and end up in the hospital, you probably won't get to come back here. Speak to their fear and keep it simple. I said all that in like 30 seconds. If I go on and on for several minutes, they are going to get more and more and more frustrated because they're trying to process way more information. Makes sense, right? I actually have said to people, usually daughters, sorry, it's usually not sons, I've said, I need you to say less. I need you to say less. It's not easy for me to say that to somebody. It's their relationship with their parent, but I can see when people are talking, going on and on and on, trying to be persuasive about a situation, I see the tension increasing in that loved one. So I'm begging you, please understand that processing problems are part of brain problems. If your loved one has any brain problems, processing speed is probably slowed down. So that means that you need to slow down when you're talking. You need to slow down on the information. Finally, I will say that families are famous for missing the yes. They miss it. They're so busy talking, they're so busy explaining why something is a good idea that I've actually seen seniors go, okay, they might even give agreement without verbally saying it, but they'll like quietly nod, or, you know, if you're trying to get them to go somewhere, maybe they'll even grab their purse and the person's still talking. Don't do that. If you see any sign of a yes during a conversation, stop. You've got your answer. Don't oversell it. Whatever it is that you're talking about to your loved one about, you can do so in a more efficient way by simplifying, cutting down on the information, saying less, and look for the yes. And even if it is a nonverbal yes, take it. Take it. You need to take those wins when you can. I have a ton of information and a lot of other videos that you can watch on my YouTube channel. But if you need one-on-one coaching, you can reach out. through the links in my bio. Thanks for listening. It was good to talk to you today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.